Great. Good morning. I'm Dr. Aimee Sisson. I'm Placer County's Health Officer and Public Health Director. Any reopening is going to be determined on the governor's timeline. So I think it's really important to share his vision of what that looks like and what the timing is. So, he's outlined a 4-stage approach where we're currently in stage 1 with the stay-at-home order. Any initial relaxation of the stay-at-home order puts us into stage 2, which is when lower risk workplaces can reopen. So that includes things like curbside retail, like manufacturing, like offices, and then some opening of public spaces such as parks and trails that have been closed. The timeline for that is weeks, not months. And again, that will be a statewide decision where we all make that transition together. Moving from stage 2 to stage 3, we'll have some local flexibility. And in stage 3, higher risk workplaces will be allowed to open. These are things like hair and nail salons. It will include things like weddings, movie theaters, and gyms. And the timeline that the governor shared for those is months, not weeks. And then finally moving to stage 4 will not happen until effective therapeutics are available. And it won't be until that stage, which is essentially when the stay-at-home order will end completely. And that's when large gatherings like concerts, like live audience sporting events, and large conventions would be allowed to resume. And again, that is months, not weeks away. So sort of in the interim, especially as we look to making that first transition to stage 2, I think what we're going to see in our workplaces as part of the new normal is people will be wearing face coverings, both the employees as well as folks entering buildings as customers. We're also going to see temperature checks become very commonplace, if not required, to enter buildings to ensure that you don't have a fever. We're also going to have a whole lot of hand sanitizer available, as well as soap and water for frequent hand washing. We'll be cleaning and sanitizing surfaces frequently. And then I think you're going to see physical dividers, plexiglass dividers like you're already seeing in many grocery stores will become even more commonplace to create a physical barrier between people. And then things will be spread out further apart so that we can maintain the required 6-foot physical distancing to reduce the transmission of the SARS-CoV-2 virus. So that's just a bit of a vision of what the hopefully fairly near future will look like as we enter stage 2. Certainly the numbers show that we have reached a peak in Placer County in terms of our total cases. You can see that if you go to placer.ca.gov/coronavirus and click on the data or cases in Placer County, you can see that curve. But when I say a peak, what happens next is determined by us. It's determined by how well we adhere to the stay-at-home orders. And it's also determined by how we behave when those stay-at-home orders start to be relaxed. I know people are antsy to get out, for one thing. I know people also need to earn a living, and we're very cognizant of that. But if we do not reopen carefully, and if we do not adhere to shelter in place or stay-at-home orders while they're still in effect, we very well could have another peak, and that peak would likely be larger than the peak that we've experienced because people have been so supportive of the stay-at-home orders. So I know it's hard. I know there are so many sacrifices that people are being made, and I want to express my gratitude for that, and I want to emphasize that it will continue to be important to adhere to sheltering in place.